More chips, don't let the salad win. That's the message in terms of nature of the food maybe that we consume in Wales.
Wrexham.
He's done it, the magic little man, Watkin. Oh, he scored! Steve Watkin has got a goal!
Ball breaks for Foden, it's in early, as Rush likes it, and he'll chase it, he'll collect it, Ian Rush!
Bennett, and that's a second for Wrexham. Well, classic, changing defence into attack.
Conley! 1-0 to Wrexham, Carl Conley's done it!
Trundle for options, put it back to Morels. Oh, it's a good save! Oh no, it is, and it's in the back of the net. Andy Morel. What a goal! What a goal! What a goal from Al Ross and Cardiff! Folks, good wake your kids up. Something special is happening here tonight. Wales are going into the semi-finals of the European Championship.
Wanagati, Ferguson has definitely won it for Wrexham now.
And here's Mendy! There's that race-class roll again! Saved by Foster!
Wales are going to the Euros next summer. Wilkinson's wonderful Welsh women.
Wales! Wales have done it! They've reached the World Cup! It's him again! Champions! Wrexham are promoted! They have their storybook ending!
The first team in history to eat more chips and not let salad win.
Hello and welcome to the Eat More Chips podcast, the official podcast, one of the most recognisable flags in the Welsh football supporters universe. In a week when a non-profit taking care of dogs in Ukraine's Chernobyl exclusion zone are trying to solve the mystery of why some canines have turned completely blue. Dogs of Chernobyl, which is affiliated with the Clean Futures Fund charity, said workers were out trying to trap dogs to be spayed and neutered in the Chernobyl area, recently spotted the unusually coloured canines. We're on the ground now catching dogs for sterilisation, and we came across 3 dogs that were completely blue. We're not sure exactly what's going on. Local residents said the dogs had not been blue only 1 week earlier. The approximately 700 dogs living in the Chernobyl exclusion zone are descendants of the pets abandoned when the area was evacuated during the nuclear power plant meltdown in 1986. The Clean Futures Fund said the blue colour is unlikely to be the result of any radioactivity. More likely, they're getting into some kind of chemical, such as the blue liquid from a leaking portable toilet, the charity said. Officials said the dogs appear to be healthy and active despite their unusual colour. Workers are continuing to attempt to capture the blue dogs in the hope of finding an answer to the mystery. A blue dog? That sounds like one exotic cocktail to me. Maybe something that these two would order on one of their nights out. It's Jamie and Daz. And we got there in the end.
I was going to be really, really cross with you for mentioning a story that involved anything blue after this week. But the fact that the fact that you said when we started, right, we need to be snappy tonight, boys, we've got a lot to get through, and then that's literally taken you about 37 minutes to do that intro. It's quite amusing.
To get through that, yeah. And I wouldn't mind, I nearly got one until the very end. So yeah, thanks for that. Anyway, sorry about that. Hello everybody. Hello, boys.
Hello.
Hello. We're gonna try and be jolly tonight, but I'm not promising it's gonna stay jolly, because we're going to talk about the Cardiff game a bit later on, and I'm going to need to really be careful about what I say.
We don't need to talk about any EFL Cup action whatsoever if we don't want to, guys. I mean, there's nothing to talk about here. I
know you're upset as well because funny enough, last night to cheer myself up, I watched the Liverpool game against Crystal Palace, and
no.
Yeah,
I'm not upset. We just clearly don't want to win it, and you don't want to either. And that's
shit competition anyway.
Absolutely, who needs it? Anyway, one piece of news this week: the nightmare for Sheffield Wednesday fans might finally be coming to an end, as Sheffield Wednesday have been placed at administration and unfortunately hit an automatic 12-point deduction by the EFL. Administrators have been appointed after it was revealed His Majesty's Revenue and Customs have set to issue a winding up order petition against the club. While enforcing the immediate deduction, in a statement the EFL did say that the administration was the opportunity to move matters towards successful sale and secure future under new ownership. The move into administration effectively ends Daifon Chanseri's decade-long ownership of the club, with the Sheffield Wednesday Supporters Trust confirming their boycott of matches is now over. Seats spelling out Chanseri's name in the North Stand at Hillsborough were removed on Friday afternoon. I mean, that was live streamed as well. Literally about half an hour after they announced it, they live streamed and decided to remove his name from the seats. I mean, Jamie, this obviously pretty much seals Wednesday's fate. I mean, this is not great news, is it? But it's the start of a rebuild now, isn't it, for Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it was something that I think was inevitable, or it seemed inevitable for some time, that this is how it was going to end up. I think any kind of prospective buyers were probably holding out for this because of what he was asking for the club. It was unrealistic, so I don't think he was ever going to enter serious negotiations with a prospective buyer. So I think anyone was interested in it was probably knew that this is how it would end up. Like you say, it's crap. It's crap for them as a football club. Does it seal their fate? I don't know. We've still got a lot of games of football to play, so you never know. But yeah, I mean, a massive uphill task from here on in. But like you say, at least this is hopefully the start now of a brighter future for them as a football club. And whilst they might have to take a few steps back, I'm sure it won't be long before they're kind of back up where they belong.
So Saturday afternoon, 2:00, down at the Cardiff City Stadium, Cymru Women took on Australia Women in the first of two friendlies this week. Daz, let's look at the lineup first. I mean, fairly strong lineup. I mean, obviously, everything was centred towards Jess Fishlock, and we'll talk about her in a second. But the one thing that you kind of thought when I looked at it is that Safia Middleton-Patel giving the gloves. Impressive.
Yeah, over Clark, yeah.
Absolutely. And there's some really good, Gwen Zimmerman in there, obviously, Marad Griffiths in there, some young names getting their chance against what is, a 15th in the world. They're a top side.
Yeah, no, I think it showed that Wilco was really up for the challenge. Wanted to see what some of these players were capable of doing. So there was an element of strength, but trying out some new faces and new positions and stuff. I think the other thing was Sophie Ingle starting was a huge boost as well. And compared to some recent games, I mean, already you just saw the Rolls Royce that she is. Fantastic to have that sort of experience. So as much as it was sad to see Jess Fishlock and Ingle to play together for the last time, because I mean, it'd be interesting to see what the stats are and the number of games they've played between the Centurions that they are, how many times they played together. So that was quite a marked sort of moment as well. But yeah, some seasoned regular faces as well. So whether it's Fionn Morgan, which we know about her pace and stuff, it was nice to see the likes of Hayley Ladd in there as well, and Hannah Kane holding a place. So I just think it was good balance of strength with some new faces for a proper test.
Well, Jess played 92 minutes and won her 166th cap, making her the most capped player in Cymru football history. Unfortunately, there was no happy ending for the midfield's sparkling career, thanks to a late Australian winner by Caitlin Ford. In truth, the result was not of great significance, to be brutally honest with you. It was more a chance for the fans to say goodbye to Jess, and also to blood up some young players. Wearing the captain armband, Jess performed with a blend of quality and endeavour, which made her a Cymru footballing great, before waving goodbye to a crowd of more than 11,000 as she was substituted in added time. There had been an early fright for Cymru when Katrina Gorey, on the top of Sophia Middleton-Patel's crossbar in 20 yards. Rhian Wilkinson's side, though, settled after that. Kerry Holland seeing a decent penalty appeal turned down after Claire Hunt's clumsy challenge, before her cross almost teed up Fishlock for her 49th international goal. Cymru's growing momentum was halted by a soft Australian goal, and it was soft. I'll ask you about this in a second, Jamie. Sam Kerr, obviously playing her first international since 2023, was in the box. The free kick came over, couldn't get a touch on Courtney Nevin's curling free kick. The ball seemed to go through everybody, including the keeper, and straight into the net. Bad mistake by the defence, intentional by Nevin. I mean, what did you make of that first Australian goal, Daz?
Yeah, I mean, it's that classic thing of put the ball into a dangerous area. That's what that is. I think when it's so close to the goalkeeper, they can't commit to the direction of the ball, and because they're assuming a touch is going to come on it, whether it's person at the near post, whether or not somebody's running in, they can't always commit to that situation. It's one of those, we've all seen it, but I think the defense should have done better. I mean, certainly, it was manageable. It was a totally manageable ball coming in, and again, whether or not the defenders getting thrown by the movement, the attack, and assumed there was going to be a touch, control, maybe a control and turn, whatever. It's just, I think everybody was not ball watching, but just waiting for that touch, and they all got wrong-footed too late before anybody's realised what's happened. It's in the back of the net, so. I think it's more defensive error, because I think they should have just made clear. After that, it was a little bit fortunate. There was enough pace on it to take it past Sophia, but yeah, I mean, you could say maybe a better reaction to that moment, a bit quicker, but it's past her. It's past her before she knows. But you can't run the risk of putting all your body weight to try and stop it when a nick will take it near post. So yeah, tough one for her, but I think the defence let her down a bit.
Well, thankfully, Cymru responded with Hannah Kane denied by Matilda's keeper Tegan Mika before an equaliser came on 35 minutes. Fishlock was involved, taking a touch to tee herself for a shot, only for Claire Wheeler's challenge to send the ball rolling to Mary Griffiths. Manchester United youngster was facing away from goal, glanced over her shoulder before lifting a shot over the goalkeeper and inside the far post. Jamie, I mean, Mary Griffiths, obviously Manchester United player, she's only 18. What incredible, what a goal, and what a level head in such a big game to pull the scores level.
It was a great finish, but then I suppose, like you say, she wouldn't be playing. She wouldn't be playing for Man United. If she didn't have something about her. I think that with the likes of Fishlock calling it a day and retiring. It's people like that. The future is on kind of on their shoulders now, isn't it? And I think we've got a way to go. I think these last couple of games have kind of shown that there is a little bit of way to go and there is work to be done now. But little flashes like that to finish like she did, at least gives you a little bit of optimism that there's some good quality in mixed in that squad. That Rhiannon Wiggleton's got to work with. So yeah, it was fair play, great finish.
Well, Cymru obviously tried to make inroads, but Australia then started to really pile on the pressure in the second half, and Cymru were pretty much up against the cosh, and unfortunately it made tell on 84 minutes. No Fishlock fairy tale. Australia's best spell was rewarded by a late winner on 84 minutes by Caitlin Ford. So unfortunately the game was lost 2-1. Daz, yes, it's another disappointing loss. We've said a lot of things. This team is still in, trying to build and trying to get over. Obviously, we're getting over Jess Fishlock, which we'll talk about a bit later with regards to when we talk about the Poland game. But Cymru didn't cover. Cymru stood toe to toe for large periods of that time against Australia. I mean, I know Australia had 65% of the play. They had more shots, but only one more shot on target. I mean, it's not as if we were absolutely hammered, was it?
No. I mean, I think for the first patches of the play, there was, I think Cymru were quite positive, and there were some really good passages of play, and there were some genuine chances. I mean, both teams had those chances. To concede the third goal the way they did, I think it was disappointing that it was so late. But you could just see that they were looking tired. And this is where the quality of a team ranked 15th in the world is going to have is that level. Whatever that level is, whether it's skill, whether it's fitness, whether it's experience, it showed. And for all her efforts, Jess was like running all over the park, right? Yeah. Even at the end, 2-1 down, there was a chance for her to go down the left hand, down the left wing, and she was exhausted. You could see her literally just tripping over her own feet by the end because she was desperately trying to get the ball back. She managed to break through, but got closed down so quickly by, I think, probably one of the Australian subs. So fresh legs, and you know what. It was never going to happen, you know, in that sense. So it's a shame, but yeah, and to concede the goal as it was a bit of a soft one, really. You know, again, not closing down the cross, you know, virtually, you know, unmarked person in the, you know, in the goal mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
It's disappointing in that way. So yeah, you know, I think just to be able to be competitive in that game was really, really the takeaway. I think it was really positive. I mean, yes, you talked about the possession. It's inevitable that you're going to the number of shots or the attempts on goals certainly should be proportionately in favor of the team with the possession, you'd think. So that makes sense. But to be able to say actually shots on target and be, you know, meaningfully in the game with some good efforts, I think you know, I think Wilco would have gone away from there thinking, okay, that's all right. You know, we and you know, not forgetting the substitutions that came on as well. I appreciate that. I think Wilco thought we were in it right to the end as well, because I don't think Jess Fishlock was meant to play 92 minutes.
No, I don't.
You know, there was a moment of like, you know, do you have your celebratory moment at whatever with 5 minutes to go or whatever? The goal took away their late goal took away that moment. And I think Wilco thought, no, I'm going to keep her on because I think we can get back in this. I think we
Get a
we've got
moment
a
of
shot.
magic. And that would have been, I mean, what a fitting setup that would have been if Jess had managed to pull off something and get the
it would have been. So it's a shame in that sense, but you know, she did do what she promised, which was to take Jess off before final whistle, so that that standing ovation could happen. And it was amazing to see, you know, 11,000 plus loads of, you know, her fellow career, you know, footballers from across the age of, you know, she's been in the team for so long. There are some names that she played
they gave her bumps at the end, didn't they? And then they gave, because Kaylee Barton was there as well celebrating her retirement.
Yeah,
they gave
she
Kaylee
never
Barton
got her
bumps as well.
off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And it was very emotional because obviously they asked Jess to do a speech at the end, and Jess couldn't. She
couldn't.
kind of
She started. She tried, and you know, you could see her welling up, and
it shows in it how much playing in the Cymru shirt means to her. It's almost like, Jamie, playing for the badge actually is something that some players are really passionate about.
What are you referring to there, bro?
Nothing.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. But, you know, yeah.
Anyway, an hour later, and Wrexham were up in the northeast playing Middlesbrough. 3 changes from the Oxford game a few days before. Brunt in for Doyle, Longman in for Kakache, and Windass in for Broadhead. Jamie, looking at that starting pickup, any surprises there for you? I was expecting maybe to see Broadhead in there rather than Windass.
I was shocked that Broadhead didn't start this game. You know, I think the way he played in the previous couple of games, and the fact we spoke about it last week, that he was hitting some form. You know, I think if you're Nathan Broadhead and you drop for this game, I wouldn't be very happy. I think the rest of it I wasn't too surprised by. Again, Kakache maybe being on the bench again, would have liked to have seen him start, but yeah, the Broadhead one was the biggest kind of shocker from that starting lineup. That's for sure. I wish to God the club would get a picture of Kabore without that cap on as well.
He obviously likes caps. He obviously that's his thing. Middlesbrough had claimed more points per game on home soil than any other side in the division before kick-off, but Wrexham started on the front foot as Sol Bryn denied Ryan Longman in the 6th minute. After going short from the resulting corner, George Thomason fed Windass, whose shot struck Dale Fry before sailing beyond Bryn and into the net. Jamie, this is a new kind of new thing. I've only seen this happen once this season, where they've not tried to, from a corner, cross the ball to the back stick towards Moore, who they just expect to head back into the danger area. Nice. It's obviously a training ground move. Nice to see actually a plan B with regards to corners.
Yeah, it was nice to see something different, and I'm sure it was satisfactory that something came from it. I mean, granted, it was a massive slice of luck.
Action, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't watching the game live, and when I saw the notifications It was like, oh, Joss Windar scored a worldie, and I'm like, all right, fair play. But when I watched it back, I'm like, yeah, that's. I think it took two deflections. But yeah, like you say, it's mixing it up, variation, isn't it? It's we've spoken about plan Bs, and we're talking more broadly, but I think having some variations with your set pieces is a good thing. And like I say, it was good that something came from it. And to be fair, I thought in that first half, I thought we were good value for the lead. I think I was a bit disappointed with Middlesbrough in the first half. I expected a bit more of them. And granted, we didn't necessarily pull up any trees, but I think we were steady, we were compact. And I think we played well in that first half. The downside is you always knew that they were going to come more into it in the second half. And I think, as that second half went on, I think, and by the end of the game, I think we were probably quite fortunate, really, to get the point. Terrible goal to concede. Dobson completely losing his man. Kiefer Moore's got to score that header. That chance he had in the second half, he's got to score that header. Second week
in a row that a player up front has had a fairly guilty chance and missed it. How many times have we said that in this division you have to take your chances?
100%, but not only that, I'm going to be quite critical of for somebody that his probably his biggest asset is his aerial ability, and we don't, to be fair, we've lauded him for his kind of his footballing skills, which often get a little bit overlooked, and at times he has been, he's been good with the ball at his feet. But the bottom line is it's his aerially, isn't it? In both boxes, that's his strength. And for somebody that is a bread and butter chance. He's in the middle of the goal. He's completely got in between the two defenders. The goalkeeper's nowhere near it. It was actually a really, really poor header, to be honest with you, because even if it hadn't hit the bar, it was right down the goalkeeper's throat, really. So that was, in my book, that was a really, really poor chance, a really poor effort. And like I say, I think he's got to score that, like you just said, which we've spoken about. You've got to take your chances at this level. And when you got certainly big chances like that, you've got to take them. If we score there and it's 2-0, different game, completely different game. But obviously, then we've missed that. The goal we conceded was very, very disappointing. Like I say, Dobson. It's hard to be critical of Dobson because he's had a really, really good season, to be fair. But he completely lost his man. And let's also not forget that Arthur makes a massive save at the end as well,
Absolutely.
Which not many people were talking about. That being said, I won't lie, there was a little teeny tiny part of me that was quite happy with the 1-1 result for some strange reason. I can't remember.
Yeah, done it. We'll talk about that later.
I can't remember. Yeah, can't remember why. I don't know why, but yeah.
You two can be very smug this week. We know that. Daz, this has been a bit of a recurring theme in Wrexham's play so far this season, as in we've taken the lead, but we've not managed to hang on to it. Is this going to be? Are Wrexham going to rue this come the end of the season? Is the question. Jamie keeps disappearing like a magic act. It's really good.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on with his camera. Hang on, let me.
Yep, there you go. He's gone.
Yeah.
And he's back. There we go. Anyway, let him play David Copperfield for a second, Daz. I mean, are Wrexham gonna rue this at the end of the season, because they're giving away now a fair number of points. We were ahead against Southampton. We've been ahead against a number of sides, and we've been pegged back either to a draw or to a defeat.
Okay. I mean, you might feel that you rued that because it was an opportunity to get 3 points, but I actually think you've got to be not grateful, but I think you've got to be pleased that you got a point, because let's put it this way: Middlesbrough are a team in far better form. They were the home team. They should have been the ones that and so I think to be able to get even any points from them at their own ground, actually, that's the bonus. You have to think about it. Glass half full, by the way. I mean,
Rob Edwards is a great man. Ex-Welsh international. Rob Edwards, great manager. Did it for Luton. Is doing it now for Middlesbrough. He has pedigree.
Yeah, and he seems like a gent as well, so he comes across well in interviews and stuff like that. So, the boy's done good, but Middlesbrough are a team that are, they've managed to get a good string of results together. They are a team now competing, and so maybe that's the positivity you got to take away from it. The galling bit is that you were ahead for so long. I think that's what makes it so hard. For what was it, 70 odd minutes that you were ahead, and you think, right, we're nearly there, 10 minutes to go, and to okay, it's not last minute, but it felt late, and of course then once you get to that position, of course Middlesbrough are probably thinking they can get another one. I mean, funnily enough, I might have been hoping they'd got another one. I mean, there was a little bit of momentum to tie the things, but equally I didn't want necessarily Wrexham to not do well. But this league does funny things to you, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
But no, but I think so I think to ride out that storm, or that potential for the momentum, shift at the end there, to be able to say, no, we stayed in this game 1-1. I think you can say that's also a really positive thing, because I think we've probably seen games in the past where that momentum swing's been so much it rattles the team, and they would have lost the game completely. 10 minutes is a long time to hold on to that 1-1 draw. So
Southampton is a prime example. We went ahead and we held on for ages and then fell apart in the last sort of 10-15 minutes to lose the game. So yeah,
exactly. So I think there's a win that didn't happen. There was a win in the sense that so these are all positives. So let's take it as that. But to get any points from Middlesbrough, not many teams are doing that.
Oh, you're definitely going to be the voice of reason this week, aren't you?
You are, absolutely. It's good we've got a level head, to be brutally honest with you. Wrexham finished the week 16th in the table. Let's just do that now. So not too bad. 16th in the table. In that middle bit, that's fine. The one, obviously, big, huge start, Cloud Jamie, was the 22nd minute injury to Lewis Brunt. Went down, had to be subbed. I mean, to be fair, Scar came on, Hyam moved over. That seemed to work quite well from a defensive point of view. But then we heard the news that Brunt had an operation, which he had this week, and it looks like he's going to be out for at least 3 months. We already had a crisis in that area, even with Brunt healthy. It's hit us hard this week, the fact that we lost Brunt and Doyle because of suspension. I mean, does Parky need to go out and try and look for somebody out of contract to fill that role? Because if it's going to be 3 months, we're going to be relying on Doyle, or in the worst case scenario, as we saw on Tuesday, somebody who can't play very well in that position.
Yeah, well, we need someone like like an ex-Premier League or an ex-England international sort of level of experience, don't we? Somebody in the squad that okay, it's going to cost us a lot of money to have someone like that, but if you had that level you could call on, then that would help shore things up.
Yeah,
if only we had someone like that.
I know.
I mean, in all seriousness, first and foremost, gutted for Brunt. Absolutely gutted for him. I think most.
If you look at that photograph, those you watching on screen, look at the photograph. Look at his face on that photograph. He absolutely knows exactly what's wrong, and he knows what's coming. Because look at his face. His face is absolutely destroyed in that face.
He looks like he's just watched one of your food reviews. You're right. He knew straight away, and the fact that they've not only diagnosed, it's not the right word, but they've scanned it and they've operated on him in 5 days, kind of tells you, that, like I say, he knew straight away what it was. I mean, first and foremost, we're absolutely gutted for him, because I think most Wrexham fans felt that he'd been hard done by when he got dropped out of the team a few games ago for Doyle to come back in, because I think whilst unquestionably Doyle is the long-term plan on that side, and he's the big money transfer. He has had a shaky start to his Wrexham career, and I think when Brunt come in, and I think he played, was it 3 or 4 games he played, and he was brilliant. So I think the fact that he was taken out of the team was a little bit harsh. But then obviously Doyle's then gone and had, whether you think it was a red card or not, we talked about last week. Either way, he's gone and got himself a red card and a 3-game suspension, which opened the door again for Brunt to come back in and really say to Parky, look, you shouldn't have dropped me in the first place.
No, this is my
and
position.
And then for this to happen 20 odd minutes into the game is just gutting for him. And like you say, gutting for the squad, because it leaves us a little bit weak as a natural left side of the three.
What's Tom O'Connor up to? Anybody got his number?
I mean,
not Will Boyle knows. I've not mentioned him.
No,
you can keep Shrewsbury and keep him. It's all right. Thanks.
To be honest with you, at this stage, I'd take Susan Boyle if I'm honest.
I've heard that about you.
Very good.
This turn.
To be honest with you, I mean, look, to answer your question about has he got to go out and get somebody out of contract, I don't, unless we have another significant injury from the pool we've got available. These players have got to step up now. I mean, we can't anyway unless he's under 21, because obviously Rathbone has now filled the place that was exactly.
left behind. So we can't anyway. Yeah, so I don't know why I asked the question, but
the bottom line is these players now have got to, these players that we've got in this part of the stable have got to step up now. You've got
keep your powder dry. Keep your powder dry. There's a time for this.
No. I mean, Don Heim has been an absolute steal, to be fair, and probably arguably the signing of the summer of all the hoo-ha around Broadhead and Windass and all that. You've got to say, value for money. Don Heim has been incredible.
I think I like the way he's just put the shirt on and fitted in there like he's been here forever. Without any fuss or anything. He's just got on with it. Which
the best thing about him. The best thing about him is the fact he's not quick, but he doesn't need to be, because his reading of the game is so clever. He knows where to be. He's in the right positions more often than not. So he happy days if we can keep the consistency out of him that he's come to us with. Obviously, he came to us after having played every minute of every league game for the last 2 seasons for Blackburn. So we can keep him fit and he stays dependable as a centre option. Happy days, but then. The problem you've then got, like you say, is this left-hand side. Max has been very steady. I think in the Championship, he's adapting well to the Championship. I think realistically, what is probably going to happen, certainly, for the Coventry game, because Doyle's still out, is I think what will happen is I think Scar will play in the middle, and then I think Hyam will play on the left and Max on the right. But then after that game, then I would expect it to be Hyam, Max and Doyle as our three. But like you say, on that left-hand side, it leaves us weak. But we have got centre-back options. We have got players. And as much as I was joking before about Cody, and we'll talk a bit more about him when we talk about the shit show. But, he talks the talk. He's got to start walking the walk now. He's got to start looking at himself and saying, I need to improve here, because the fact that he got, the fact that Parky left a central midfielder stay in defence on Tuesday night, and took Cody off, tells you everything you need to know about how he feels about Cody.
That's
at the minute.
very true. Very true.
But
dry.
But really gutted for Brunt, and I hope he gets back sooner rather than later. I mean, what they said about 3 months, haven't they?
3 months.
I
think that's 3 months back on grass, and then obviously it will be at least another month before he can start getting up to speed. So, I mean, potentially there could be issues, because we're going to start running into January transfer window, and at that point, do you go, right, do we now go out and shop for a left-sided centre-back, and therefore then Brunt then may start to move out of the picture anyway, which, I mean, again, we'll talk about that a bit nearer the time.
I was going to say.
Anyway, Sunday, and the West Wales Riviera beckoned as some idiots, namely me, went over to Park Avenue to see Aberystwyth Town Women play Wrexham Women. Starting lineup first, only one change from the Cardiff game 2 weeks before. Rosie Hughes coming in for Abby Idenden. Daz keeping the winning side together and putting somebody like Rosie up front, who hasn't really been a starter. Were you surprised to kind of see her coming back in as a starting role rather than that off the bench impact striker?
Yeah, a little bit surprised. I mean, I think it's something that she's probably earned. She's been impressive in those brief moments that she's had. Now, whether or not that's injury or fitness or anything like that, that they think that maybe she needs more of a run out. And with all due respect to my beloved hometown, playing against a much lower team is probably your safe bet. We're not not completely changing the whole team, like all the outfield players, but a good number of the outfield players having a run out is an option, isn't it? When you're playing against a slightly weaker team. I know it's not your home ground and stuff like that, so I think it was a savvy move, because we know she's in form. She's managed to get a couple of goals, so so a little bit surprised. But it doesn't seem odd, though. It doesn't seem odd or out of character in any way.
Well, and I'm going to say sorry now, Daz, because I'm obviously going to paint Aberystwyth as kind as I can. 5-0 was the final score. Rosie, you scores pretty much within 2 minutes. Lily Jones with a fantastic strike when the ball was given to her on 36 minutes. Jodie Bartle with a smash in from a rebound on 48 minutes, and Katie Barker with two fantastic moves, switching the defence backwards and forwards. Aberystwyth were not that bad. I mean, Lily Morley-Hughes, number 6 on wing, playing on the right wing for Aberystwyth. She's so fast.
Yeah.
She's so fast, but she wasn't being given the service. Everything she was being given was either short, was being cut out by the Wrexham defence, or way too long where she couldn't catch it. And on the few times that she did manage to get the ball, she didn't have any options in the middle. Didn't have any options in the middle. So she'd cross it in, and there'd be no Aberystwyth players there to take advantage of it. So I did feel sorry from that point of view from Aberystwyth. I mean, is that something that you kind of feel that Aberystwyth are this season?
No, I think they've had their chances. I mean, they're actually achieving more this year than they did last year already. They've managed to get some decent wins, so a couple of good results. So they're not quite as perilously close to the edge and fighting it out with Cardiff like they did last year. Pontypridd have comfortably got that position at the moment. So I'm not worried about it in that sense. They've done well against the middle order teams that they are, so I think when they're playing against a team such as Cardiff, Wrexham or Swansea, then there's the gulf then between those top 3 teams, and the league is showing that as well. The league is definitely sort of showing that. But the first goal, Rosie's first goal is a perfect example of what went wrong, in the sense that when you've got a team that's alert and focused, as Wrexham were, and already the signing of the season is probably Barker, because
she was. I mean, when you watch her on screen, Daz, you think, oh, she's good, but when you watch her live, she is switched on.
Because the first goal is made up of the fact that the ball looks like it's going out of play, and she doesn't give up on it. She's got the pace that she knows she can reach it, but she gets it, turns it around swiftly, and drills it onto the edge of the 6-yard. Or I mean, Rosie just taps it in, but it's had to pass 5 outfield players and the goalkeeper to get to Rosie. So 2 of them kind of half close Barker down, but 2 of them had switched off. They were absolutely thinking that's going out of play, and that's the difference. I think that was the difference, where an element of, I don't know, it's not professionalism, because I don't think it's the semi-pro thing. I just think that intensity of training, alertness, whatever it is that they do, there's something different about a player of the quality of Barker and Rosie. She's there making the move, finding the space in the edge of the 6-yard, and is just tapping it in, and it's a calm, clinical finish, and Steele's got no chance of saving it. So I think that epitomized it. Now, to sort of back up your statement about, like, they didn't play that bad, for another half an hour, actually Aber were in it. It felt like, from what I could see. No. They were in contention. There were some really good passages of play, some meaningful shots heading in, and some Craven had to do is put some decent saves in, whether it was charging down, closing down some one-on-ones, or a couple of shots that she had to push around the post and stuff. So it wasn't as if they were without any potential, no impetus or no threat. But when you've got a goalkeeper in Craven who's actually had a good game, positioned herself really well for all the attacking play.
Well, that shot from Morley Hughes on 12 minutes, so that was a great save. Great save.
Yeah. For me, it's the looking at Barker's goals, particularly when she gets the ball, she turns, she like wrong-footed the defense, turns it onto her other foot, and is clinical. I mean, the finishing for her is clinical, and that's the thing I've noticed from week on week.
Are you a bit surprised she's ended up in this league after what we've seen of her?
I don't know enough about her journey and the history of the clubs that she's been at. I mean, I still think that there's is it Maz, who's the other player who I feels like is it Maz Mahmood?
Mahmood, yeah.
She's another one who I feel like you could argue she is a league ahead of everybody else as well. Now, whatever the incentive is that Wrexham have put into the conversations to sign, it's clearly enough.
I think it's Jenny Sugarman. I really do. That she knows them both. She's managed them both.
Yeah,
I think it's her. I think it really is. She said to them, "Listen, come and play for me. I know you've got what I need, and we will get success if you come in this team."
What's the goal? What's the end goal? I mean, because with all, well, I was about to say I've said this before. The only thing that that can possibly draw them in is Europe, but that involves winning the league. There's so much at stake in terms of that one position, involves winning the league. I find it fascinating that even if they're second tier, third tier English, and they're still managing to get them to come over to this league. I mean, it'll be great if it means Cardiff now have to start looking for better players. Swansea will have to start looking for better players. It'll be great in terms of that competition, so it won't be all about Cardiff. But it's still going to be a three-team league, and everybody else will.
But I mean,
like the Scottish league.
Yeah.
Well, everybody else
is that going to be detrimental, like in the men's JD Cymru Premier League? TNS already are starting to walk the league this early.
Yeah,
because they have far more resources at their disposal to be able to bring in players at a higher level.
I mean, there's been contenders each year, like the Connasky Nomads or Flint or
Covey started this season, but they've died off.
Penabont had a bit of a run, last year and stuff. So there are a few teams that have competed, but it's always somebody against TNS. It's always somebody. TNS are always in the mix, and this year they've managed to just completely. Properly annihilate most teams they're playing against. They've got a couple of new players in, but their turnover of really good players. Now they are doing that exact same thing. Come to us, and we've got the potential to go and have but it's only one game in Europe. TNS don't get through, multiple rounds. It is a weird thing. Like, come and play the one round.
But how brilliant would it be to say, I went to play for Wrexham. I won the league for the first time in Wrexham in X amount of years. We got into Europe and we got through the qualifying rounds that no other Welsh women's team has ever done.
That would be the goal, I guess. But it does involve having to visit Aberystwyth and Pontypridd a couple of times to get there. I mean,
wrong with that. Aberystwyth was beautiful, Daz.
I know,
beautiful as it always is.
Absolutely.
That Morrison's is the best Morrison's in the whole country. Sells the nicest sandwiches, without a shadow of a doubt.
You can even pay for parking at the meter now with a card and don't have to.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I can use my app and everything. It was brilliant.
So where the stadium is literally next door to the train station, and next door to the train station is my old primary school, and my primary school hall is now it's like a food and a bar and food.
Please say brothel.
No. Just it's one of the lounges. One of the lounges.
All right.
And so we go there now, and I sit in my old school hall, in my old Form 1 classroom, having a giant breakfast on a Sunday morning or something when we go to Aber. The whole place is very different. I would joke about the fact that it's a bit backwards, but there's just so many things about Aberystwyth which is fascinating. But that whole area has been regenerated. But the stadium, I mean, is still there. There's talk about new stands, new clubhouse, new all sorts of things, which is a bit odd for a team that have been relegated in another.
I think they
division.
build things, Daz, and it keeps getting washed away by the weather. That's what it is. I think
The weather was fine.
No, it wasn't. You'll see in a
fine.
minute. You'll see in this Footy Scran review how bad it was.
That was the whole of the UK. Don't give that all on Aber.
Yeah, whatever. So Wrexham finished the week second, joint first, second in the league on goal difference. Again, though, winning 5-0 didn't make any difference because Cardiff increased their goal difference and Swansea increased their goal difference. So as Daz said, Jamie, there is a gulf now that is starting to appear. Jenny Sugarman played with a back four, and Wrexham looked, fairly resolute. Yes, Aberystwyth played well, and Dino did absolutely have some chances, but Wrexham soaked up those chances and then scored 5 goals. I mean, are we now starting to see a real solidity to Wrexham Women?
I think so. When you were talking about the lineup there before, and obviously every week you pop the lineup up. We talk about one or two changes she's made that we look at and think, well, that's an interesting one. But I think what she's proven is that she's a very astute manager and coach, and what she's doing is she's picking the best players she has available to her for the opposition that she's playing each week, rather than just picking the same players week in, week out because she thinks that's what she should do. They've put themselves in a great position so far. The thing with the way that this crazy league works is the crucial bit is in this first half is we've got to stay in and around whatever Cardiff are doing, haven't we? To make sure that when the split happens, is that we can make a run for the league.
It's interesting. Some people have been moaning this week. I'll take it from Daz and then I'll come back to you, Jamie. Some people have been moaning this week saying when the league split happens, they should reset the points. Because if the Cardiff are way ahead, you've got no chance of catching them anyway. But then I'm thinking, but if you're Pontypridd United, you're thinking, reset the points because we might get out of this. I mean, you can't.
The reset does no, because you've earned that. Ben, you've earned that. You could have the split, and everybody could still be on like 24 points each or something. It's not the fact that somebody's running away with it. They've earned that privilege by winning comfortably. You've also played Pontypridd and had a chance to put a goal difference in of plus 22 if you wanted to. So I think that all levels out. But don't forget, this last week is an unusual week because all top 4 teams played teams from the bottom 4. It was a completely perfect split, and so the fact that Cardiff, New Saints won 4-2, Wrexham was 5-0, and Swansea was
6-1, something like that, I think. Something like that, definitely. I think that's my phone.
It's because they were the top 4 teams playing the bottom 4 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie, obviously, we're now starting to see Wrexham start to stretch their legs, which is great. Do you think it's going to come down to that Wrexham versus Cardiff games, either in phase 1 when we go down to Cardiff to play them? And there's a high possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if Cardiff put that at the Cardiff City Stadium because they'll want the crowds to try and intimidate us. Or obviously in phase 2 when we'll have those 2 games, and if we are close on points and the goal difference still remains this big, we're going to need to get wins.
It may well do. With what we've seen so far this season and the way the league is shaping up, it may well come down to the team that wins the league is the team that can take the most points off each other in the corresponding fixtures. I think it's still a little bit too early to kind of say that it's a Wrexham Cardiff shootout. I think you can't discount Swansea at this stage. In my opinion. But you make a good point. We could very well be, as we go through the season and we get towards the latter stages, we could be very much in a situation where, the game against Cardiff and the fixtures against Cardiff are what define who wins the league. It could very well.
They don't make the phase 2 draw until the end of January, till phase 1 is absolutely complete. Right. Don't be surprised if you don't see a Wrexham Cardiff as the final game. I would not be surprised because I've in the past I've known the people who have plugged in the computer to get the random fixtures, and I know for a fact, that they would. I mean, certainly from a point of view, nothing else does. Pedwarek will go. Oh yes, please.
Absolutely,
We'll have that.
yes, please.
We'll have that as a live game. Absolutely, we will. Because what if it was a title decider? It would be incredible. Anyway, I don't think I can take that kind of stress, to be honest. So let's just enjoy it while we've got it. For those of you watching on YouTube, Welsh flag, the Emo Chips flag there on the top centre picture, getting drenched. And who's that handsome devil on the bottom right corner underneath the dare stand? Yes, that's me. That's right. That's me.
I did spot you. I did spot you on the. I saw the flag, and I was thinking, "Oh, is he?" And then I knew you got yourself a place in the Eisteddfod DS. So I just thought,
Yes.
"Oh," and there you were, sat on your own, weren't you?
I was going to say,
mate.
Did you sit by the other group of fans, but they told you to fuck off?
I was intimidated by the ultras. That's what it was. I was like, I don't want to be intimidated by the ultras. Yeah, it's the ultras in the middle. So, no. To be fair, I just sat there because I know I'm quite noisy and I don't want to piss people off. So, and you'll see now that it meant I lost my voice at the end. So yeah, great. So enjoy.
And now it's time for the away day footy scran review.
So another Sunday, and the glory that is Park Avenue at Aberystwyth. Daz, your lot, I've got a lot to ask for. Every time I come here, the weather's awful, and I'm full of cold. So yeah, exactly. Wrexham Women are just warmed up behind me. They've just got to run off over there. Another footy scran review, of course, and being true to form, I have gone for a double cheeseburger, no onions. They've got a limited menu on today. £7. I think Daz wouldn't pay that amount. £7, would he? Anyway, I'm going to get out the rain and I'm going to eat this, and then I'll let you know how it is. See you in a bit.
Oh my god, it's so cold. I've had to get back in the car. The weather was terrible. I lost my voice completely. Great win, 5-0. But more importantly, what did we make of the double cheeseburger? Bun was nice. The burger was undercooked. The cheese wasn't melted. It was literally taken fresh out of the packet. £7. More expensive than Britain Ferry. Yeah, I'm going to give it 5 out of 10 fryers. Sorry, Daz. It's just not quite there. I'm going to put the heater on now because I don't know what you can see. I'm absolutely shaking because it's that cold. Daz, I know now why you moved away, because you needed a better climate. Because you just drown in this. It's terrible. Anyway, up the town.
I so wanted to give that more than 5, but I was so cold I couldn't count past 5 by that point.
It's like you developed a 50-a-day habit in this case of the game.
Why didn't you use your gills? Because that's what we do.
Or here's an idea for you: get a fucking coat.
I had 3 layers on. It was that bad. Did you not see the rain? It was coming in sideways. It was that bad.
Let's now. Can I just double check with all the other burgers you had? They've been single patty. That was a double, wasn't it? That was a double. Yes. See, now your value for money just went up a little bit, mate. So I just think you.
Would you pay £7 for it?
I try not to pay £7 for most things. I'd have just taken something with me.
To be fair, I really wanted to give it more, but it just. Literally, the cheese was
that cheese did look solid, and
it was solid, and no onions. And I did say no onions, and they said, "Oh, we've got a limited menu on today, so we're not doing onions."
I mean, limited menu. I mean, that's like with bread or without bread. That just feels
edible or non-edible.
And now I won't. Also, I will defend the slightly undercooked because I do like my burgers a little bit on the. I'm a rare man, you see.
I know, but I like it. I like it to be properly cooked. Cooked all the way through. Yeah. I'm not going to catch salmonella from it. If I meant to be fair, I didn't. But I didn't. Yeah. It was lovely, by the way. It was very nice. It was very nice. Certainly better than Wembley Stadium in London. And it's not often you can say that, Daz, that Park Avenue is better than Wembley.
Well, and I imagine that the source material, the animal and the source of that food is in a far closer range from the stadium than, say, Wembley. I mean, maybe the field next door. It would have been fresh off the field, given it a little bit of a wipe on its ass, and then just whack it in the the burger mincer. So it's
Well, let's look at the footy scran table, and as I just said, Aberystwyth with 5 Friars out of 10 puts it in 4th place, below Southampton, Britain Ferry, Llansamble, and Stoke City, but above Leicester City and Wobbley Stadium. So well done to Park Avenue, exactly where it should be, which is great. Right, don't get cancelled, don't get cancelled, don't get cancelled. Wrexham versus Cardiff City in the League Cup last 16. Jamie, let's look at the starting lineup first, then we'll talk about the goals individually before we talk about the manner of the performance or anything else that's around that. We will leave that to the end. So try and be clinical rather than running away, which highly likely I'm going to do, because I'm going to start getting angry and then my mouth will just run away with itself. So let's look at the lineup first. Straight away, alarm bells were ringing for me quite badly. It'll be interesting to hear what your take was. Was it 7 changes from the game versus Middlesbrough? In came Burton, Cody, Barnett, Rathbone, O'Brien, Broadhead, Smith. Out went Okonkwo, Hyam, Brunt, Kabore, Matty James, Windass, and more. I think the big, huge, glaring, massive pointer, big arrow at it is Thomason playing in defence. He's only ever played there once in his entire career, never for us. He's not a Tom O'Connor. I mean, it's straight away, did you kind of go, I mean, ignore the Cody factor. We'll talk about that in a second. Did you kind of go, oh no?
No, I didn't. Right, I didn't, because yes, the Thomason one. Once I realised what he was doing with the lineup, and once we kind of realised that Thomason was going to be playing on the left side of that 3, that was a bit of a head scratcher. But I didn't look at this lineup and think, oh no. I looked at this lineup and thought, I'm a bit disappointed, in the sense that what this tells me is that you've prioritised Friday's game against Coventry over this game against Cardiff. And that, to me, was the bigger disappointment than anything else. There were some big calls in here, big calls. Playing Thomason in defence when you've got 2 centre-backs on the bench, bringing Rathbone in for his first competitive minutes in a game that was always going to be high intensity, a high press against us, a pacey team against us. So that's a big ask to bring him back in. But if you take away what I've just said from the point of view of priorities and things, and look at that team on paper, that is still a good team. That is still a team full of good players, quality players. You've got Broadhead, you've got O'Brien in there, you've got Dobson in there, you've got Cody in there, you've got Max in there. That's a good team. That is still a good team. And would I have expected this team to be put together and for it to be a Harlem Globetrotters take the piss? No, of course not, because this is not a team that's playing together week in, week out. But even with a team that's been put together like this, there's still a certain, still a certain expectation that you have of a level of performance. I was disappointed more than anything else, because it showed to me that he was prioritising. Well, it showed to me he was either prioritising Coventry over Cardiff, or he was disrespecting how good Cardiff were. I'm going to assume it was the first one. But yeah, I was more disappointed than anything else. But the bottom line is, it's still a good team.
So looking just at the goals, before we talk about the performances, let's just look clinically at the goals first of all, and some of the turning points. I think the first one was Daz Broadhead. Again, not as clear-cut a chance as we've seen before, but he was on goal, pulls the shot quite badly wide. I mean, we've seen him score these kind of goals. Why could he? Did he just snatch at it, or what?
I mean, I think that's the thing, and it is we know he can do it. So it's just one of those, no, strikers will have those moments. We see Haaland miss goals like that. They're not, perfect, they're not invincible sort of characters and stuff. I wonder if, because he's been dropped recently, that there's that desire to prove the management wrong and to prove this is his chance. And we've seen that plenty of times over the years with players who are trying too hard. I just wonder if it just got in his head a little bit. But it's not his usual clinical finish, which of course you have seen at Wrexham as well recently. So it's not as if he's not the player he used to be. So I just think it was one of those misses.
And then Jamie, straight after that, long ball by the goalkeeper, came to Wrexham defence. Rather than deal with the ball, tried to fall on the ball as if it's some kind of trying to get, I don't know whether trying to get the foul or not. Lost possession completely. Tried to pass the ball over, went straight to the feet of the one person you don't want in space 25 yards out. That's Ruben Colwell. He capitalised, charged at the defence. The defence completely melted and parted like the Red Sea. Put a fantastic, though, pass through to Kellerman. Kellerman's shot was fantastically saved by Burton down at his right-hand side. Unfortunately, he could only push it out to the side. And there's Saleh on the right-hand post to just slot it into the goal. We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming because Cardiff had been dominant, had been pressing. I mean, their press was incredible. We could not cope with it. They shut everything down from us on the wings. They didn't give us time or space on the ball. They absolutely looked like the Championship side. We looked like the League One side. Were you massively disappointed about how this goal came about, or were you not surprised in the slightest, Jamie?
Of course, I was disappointed with how the goal came about. But that being said, you've just hit the nail on the head yourself. It wasn't a surprise. Okay, it was only 13 minutes into the game, but and I know you said you want to talk about the goals individually, but I think if you isolate the first half, which is obviously we're 1-0 down at half time, you know what? All rivalry aside, Cardiff were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant in that first half.
Yep.
Credit where credit's due. They forget the whether you're questioning like they're being more up for it and the fact they wanted it more. Forget all that stuff. Just purely from a technical, tactical, and actually putting into practice what they've been told to do. They were brilliant. Absolutely, it was brilliant to watch, to be fair at time. And like you said, Ruben Colwell, absolute worldy of a first half. He was unplayable.
I mean, Daz, there's been lots of talk, hasn't it? But certainly by Cardiff fans saying, why isn't he being picked for Cymru? Why is Bellamy not picking? Who was there on Tuesday night? Why is he not picking him?
He will.
He will. Why is he not picking him?
But he will pick him. But I think the fact that he's playing quality, he's had a very successful start of the season for a Bluebird teams who are in a division. We've talked about where does the benchmark of international football sort of line up, and League One feels to me is where he set that benchmark. And I think he would probably rather play players who are playing Premier League, Championship, or international, major top flight. So whether or not Colwell is going to be the exception, I know he's got a couple of other Cardiff City players that he considers now. So maybe Cardiff City have to be the exception because they are doing so well in the league. I know they've had a couple of blips along the way. They were disappointed with the result the other weekend, so they're not completely the perfect thing, but they've had so many good games and they are playing well. And what was more frightening is that Cardiff also dropped quite a few of their first choice players and chose 5 changes for them. Yeah. So as much as Wrexham were putting out some changes as part of that change, that preparation. Cardiff weren't entirely the first choice team either. So, but no, their confidence is up because they're winning games. They're playing well. They've had some really good results, and you do have to sort of factor in winning breeds winning. Winning means that momentum, and
we know that.
And I think that's what you're right. I think that's where Wrexham is sort of struggling. There's
absolutely
a nervousness about any game they're going into at the moment.
Absolutely. Well, half-time, Phil Parkinson responded with a triple substitution, bringing on more Windass and Matty James, replacing Smith, Broadhead and Ollie Rathbone. So Jamie took off the front two and brought on a new front two, took off Ollie Rathbone, who isn't match fit, to bring on Matty James, who's a defensive midfielder. I mean, again, the three of the players that he was supposed to be resting didn't get a rest because they played a full half. I mean, I was pulling my hair out at this point going, well, why didn't you start with that? If I could have told you that this was not going to work against a team like Cardiff. And I am an idiot. I'm a fat idiot who knows very little about football. So why doesn't Parky realise that?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I think, like I say, I think I can only work on the assumption that he thought that my take is that he was prioritising the Coventry game. He's therefore wanting to rest what you would consider a good chunk of our first 11, or a good few players, key players of our first 11. And I think he certainly how it appears is he's completely underestimated how good Cardiff were, and thought the players that he was sending out there would still have enough. Now, if all those players had performed, maybe they would have, but they didn't. Like you say, the fact that he's made that triple substitution at halftime, he had to, because I think there would have been a riot if that team would have, as much as we've seen in the past managers who, their teams have had a terrible first half, and we've seen a situation where managers have sent the same team out there, presumably with a flea in their ear, saying, go out there and put it right. I think it was beyond that. It was beyond that, and he had to do something. I think if he'd sent that same 11 out, there'd have been uproar. And I suppose, as you'd expect, we did have a little spell. The first 10, 15 minutes of that second half, we were much more competitive. We were back to form in regards to how we were playing. We had the target man in there again, and it was just everything was to him. But there was an improvement at least. And the fact we got back in the game was a bit of a bloody miracle, to be honest with you. And again, when we were talking before about Kiefer Moore's missed chance at Middlesbrough, this was another example of a bread and butter one for him. This time he puts it in, and the optimist in you, and we've seen this over the years. You get you've not played well. We've got back into the game. You're thinking, can we kick on from here now? And that's what the hope was. And if anything, it was the opposite. It just went back.
If anything, it went backwards. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the game. I mean, obviously, after that goal, the game became much more even. Cardiff weathered Wrexham's attack, and just 2 minutes after coming on, Robertson forced Connor Cody into a crucial block, but then Cardiff obviously retook the lead. 71st minute, Joel Bagan's deep cross from a debatable free kick. I mean, I'm picking, to be honest, about whether it is or isn't, but it was a free kick. He puts it in. It goes over the head of everybody, including our tallest player, right to the back stick, where there's nobody marking Fish at all. And Fish has one of the most easiest tap-ins you've ever had in your life to get
I wouldn't say it was an easy tap-in. I wouldn't say it was an easy tap-in. No, I actually think that the fact that it's coming over the top of everybody, including, you said, Keith. I mean, I think Keith is at fault a little bit at the back, because that's one of his strengths is heading. He often comes back for set pieces for Wales. He comes back for set pieces for Wrexham, where one of his jobs is to clear away that danger. He completely gets underneath it and misses it. But if you're drifting in at the far post, your assumption is Keith is going to get ahead to this. I think keeping your eye on the ball whilst it's coming over, and you just got to trust the fact that everybody's going to miss it. I think that's one of the. I'm not much of a player, but I don't think that's as easy a tap in. The fact that it was close range is fair enough, but I wouldn't know if it. I mean, say I'm no expert, and I'm happily be corrected by people who played the game, but.
I think you're right. I agree. It's not as easy as you think, but it's terrible from Wrexham's point of view, because Kiefer Moore has completely ballsed it up, And
the way that Cardiff were playing up to that point, they built momentum. They were starting to come back at us. They were looking increasingly dangerous. And you leave not one player, you leave two players at the back of the box completely unmarked.
Well, but this is where you question like training. No matter what team you're putting out there, these will be drills that you're practicing. In training, you should be practicing. Well, who's picking up at the back post, who's picking up in the centre, who's picking up in the near post, and also as well, just before I forget, as much as Kiefer is massively at fault for it, Callum Burton's got to do better as well. That's not. I thought it was a really poor effort to be beaten there like he was. But like Daz says, I think credit where credit's due. It's not an easy finish.
He's not challenged enough to make it hard enough for him, and
No.
I think that's the key thing. But to Burton's criticism, I would also flip the fact that, considering he's your third choice goalkeeper, he had a good game. I have not seen him play particularly, and I thought that he did really, really well. So there's a lot of credit there. But yes, the argument would be that that's a drill. That's something that you should be preparing for. I agree. It was a soft free kick. You can argue whether or not they should have had it, but it was a long way out. It should have been something they were prepared for. You could see what was happening. It was going to be a long ball in, and yet they didn't deal with it. So, yeah, you got to be disappointed with that.
20 minutes to go, Cardiff back in the lead, and damning for me, Jamie, is what does Parky do? He brings on Kabori and Ryan Hardy to replace Ryan Barnett, who wasn't having a fantastic game because he seemed to be scared of going all the way to the far byline. He seemed to get to a point and then just want to run away again, which I don't know what was going on there, whether he just lost confidence because he's not starting. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. But the fact is that he took off Connor Cody in the centre-back and left Longman on as part of a back four in a position which he's never only played once in his career. What does that say? First of all, what's wrong with Barnett? Why wasn't he doing his usual, trying to get down to the byline and cross the ball in? And what's going on with Cody? If you've got a centre-back who you can't trust over somebody who doesn't play as a centre-back position, there is something seriously wrong there.
Yeah, I mean, with Barnett, first of all, I think if we're being honest, we've not seen the best of Barney since the start of last season. He had a very good first half of last season, but then I think he pitted out towards the end of the season. And then I think, he had flashes this season, but I don't think he's not shown the levels that we've been used to seeing from him through the other leagues. Now, maybe that's because he's finding it harder to adapt to the championship level. I don't know. You have got to be fair and say, as much as this was a championship team against a League One team, there's only, I think if you look at the two tables, there's only something like 7 or 8 places between the two teams. And you've got to remember that Cardiff team and squad is the bulk of it is the championship side they went down with. So, without being, without trying to sort of find excuses, it's as good as a championship side to be fair. So I think where Barney's concerned, he struggled to do it in the championship so far. So, maybe that's it. Maybe his confidence is shot because he's not guaranteed place in the team. I mean, you could argue he's third choice now. You could argue, on that right hand side. So maybe his confidence is not there. Maybe it's his ability. Maybe he's reached his ceiling. I don't know. But I mean, Cody. It's like you say. It's damning, isn't it? It's damning that he's pulled him off and left midfielders on to play in his position. I think all the Leicester fans that were pretty much volunteering to drive him here, I can understand now why.
In their hands for the payday that they've had. I watched Cody all the way through. He was constantly, rather than using skill to try and get the ball or block him, he was just grab hold of the player and try and pull him to the floor. That was his gameplay for me. That's all he could do. He was outpaced every time. He didn't have the pace to keep up with anybody, and he didn't seem to have the skill to actually take the ball off anybody. The only way he could do it was try and rugby tackle him to the ground.
His level of experience that he's got this comes back full circle to what I was saying before about Don Heim. He should be in the same stable in the sense of, yes, he's at a latter stage of his career, so his pace isn't maybe what it was, but his experience and his reading of the game should be good that he's not getting caught out as much as he is. I mean, he looks. If you watched the minutes that he's played so far in a Wrexham shirt, if you watch them back, I mean, he had one good game against Southampton, I think, at the first game of the season.
Yep.
But outside of that, if you watch those other minutes that he's played in a Wrexham shirt, and you ask somebody to say, what level do you think that guy's played at? You'd never believe he's played at the level he has.
You never believe he's an England international.
No.
You'd never, but I mean, as an objective level head over here, thankfully, we've got a level head over here. He's not as angry as Jamie and I are. Are you shocked by somebody with the amount of Premiership and Championship and England international experience just being that poor?
I like him as a character. I don't think I've thought he was.
Yeah, but I don't want to go to a dinner party with him. I want him to put on the shirt.
No, I know, but I don't think I've elevated him quite to the same status as some people have previously. I don't, not just because obviously Wolves was a different team, Everton was a different team. It was, I'm not sure I've rated him that highly. I thought he's been decent over the years, but then you take away whatever pace he had, because age will settle in. Whatever injuries he's had, a player on the downwards turn of their career. You've had success and you've had some, not so successful options, and I think that's it's a really difficult one to predict how old age will kick in, or in old age, he's hardly, that old, but in terms of the end of his twilight of his career, whether it's dealing with injuries, dealing with fitness, some players can just keep doing it for that little bit longer. Maybe that's his lot. Maybe he's just realized he can't keep it up, and Leicester were aware of that. I don't think you lose all that quality in one season, though. I am surprised that he hasn't been able to position himself. His savviness, hasn't, put him at least in the mix. But I think the Championship is so.
I know, but what annoys me about all this, right, is that we gave away Stephen Fletcher, who apparently is too old and not good enough for this level, and we spent money on Connor Cody, who apparently is better, and he's not. He's not better. I know they're different positions, but I would take a Stephen Fletcher. I would take a Stephen Fletcher over 10 Cody Connors right now.
No, but you need to strengthen that. You needed to strengthen that part of your team. That's
but have we?
Well, no,
we haven't.
But I think many a team can buy a player in and think they're strengthening and make the mistakes. There's a lot of players that you see them get picked and then they get bought and they then don't get picked for their team, and you just think, okay, what is it that they've discovered now? I mean, that's the risk. That's the risk of buying. But I mean, there's you can spend 100 million on a player and realize that maybe he's not quite the player you thought he was. Whether that's Grealish, whether that's I mean, Isak's too early to tell, but do you know what I mean? It's but it is. He's he's not even fit at the moment. But it doesn't matter what the value is. It's about the decision to go. Do you think they can fit in your team? And I think you've got a player there that maybe that decision is flawed a little bit, and I don't know.
The thing is with, I think the one of the biggest things for me with Cody is, yes, level of performances have been nowhere near good enough so far. But also as well, going back to what I was saying before about experience, he's the sort of person that you would expect in a game like this. Yeah, so he's only been at Wrexham a couple of months, but you'd expect him to have a bit of an understanding as to what it meant. And that's the sort of player that you'd expect to be getting into everybody else. You think back to Tony Humes, someone like that. Someone, God rest him,
Carey. That
Joey,
position, Brian Carey.
These are
Carey
people.
Right there.
These people would have known what this meant, and this to me, this is one of the biggest concerns that coming out of this game. There's loads more to say, but one of the biggest concerns coming out of this game is it feels like, and maybe this is a consequence of bringing in so many new players in a short space of time, but it feels like we've gone from a squad and a group of players who got it, got what we were about, and got what we, playing for the badge. And it feels like we've gone now to a group of players who don't get
They're
it.
guns for hire.
And that's the worry.
I know they're not all that way, and I'm sure that's wrong. I'm sure they all play with passion and blah-de-blah-de-blah and all this kind of stuff. And Parky came out, and lots of other players came out before the game and said they understand how important this game is to the fans. They understand. And ignore the fact that there's a chance of getting through to the last 8 of a major English trophy and guaranteed to play. In the end, it would have been either Chelsea or Newcastle United, which would have been a great match, either at the Stoke Kairos or one of those grounds, right? Ignore that bit. It's the fact we're playing one of our oldest rivals. And I asked you, Wrexham, to do one thing for me. One thing. Do not lose. And you couldn't do it. And that, for me, is unforgivable. I mean, there's a bigger problem for me for this. And you're absolutely right, Jamie. I felt a massive disconnect this season with the squad. Unlike past, where, we criticised Mullin. And yes, we understand that Mullin, when it came to it, when it got to a certain level, he struggled. But he always played with full passion, 100%. He never left anything on the pitch whenever he played for us. And he always played for the badge. I don't feel any of the players who we're currently putting out putting themselves on the line to that kind of level. I would expect that cup match for everybody to give in 100% and not leave anything behind. And I know it was just consequential, the fact that at the end that Kiefer Moore was having a laugh and a joke with Cardiff players. He knows a lot of them. He knows a lot of them through internationals, and he's next Cardiff player. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because just think about how the fans look at that, Kiefer. Just look how the fans look at you, smiling and joking after you've just basically given them a tie 2-1. And think about how that feels for us, because we're the ones, at the end of the day, who pay your wages. And that's not acceptable. And whether you think it's just a nothing or whatever, that's fine. What you should have done is just put your head down and walk to the changing room, looking at least as if you feel like you've let us down. Because I really feel that not just the players, but I also feel that Parky really let us down on Tuesday. Because I feel that, as you rightly said, Jamie, a Joey Jones, a Tony Humes, a Brian Carey, they would be out there. They would put 100% into that game because they knew how important it was to us, the fans. I don't care about the cup. We're never going to win it. That's fine. But it was Cardiff, and we should have played far above the level that we actually played. And I'm so disappointed, and I'm so angry with a whole lot of them. We talk about Coventry in a bit. I almost decided not to go to Coventry tomorrow because I was like, do you know what? I can't face you. I can't face any of you after what you did to me on Tuesday night. I felt personally betrayed. And I wasn't even there. I was just watching at home. I was so angry, I cannot tell you.
You ringed me in and you told me not to go off on a rant.
I know, sorry.
I said just done the same thing. Right. Can I have my go now?
Yeah, please do. Go for it.
Right.
Yeah, go, Bob.
Okay.
Go.
Right. Okay. So, to be fair, I'm going to echo a lot of what you've just said. Totally unacceptable, right? We all have bad days in work, and I get that. We all have bad days in work, and we all have off days. But what was very evident from this, or certainly this is how it came across, is it looked like not a single one of them players gave a shit. That's how it looked. Now, like you've just said, that possibly wasn't the case. I'd hope that isn't the case. And we've come up against a very, very good team.
Cardiff deserved to win. I am not taking anything off Cardiff at all. They totally and utterly schooled us on Tuesday and absolutely deserved the win. Totally and utterly. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't have played to full as we know we can.
But like we said several times in the past, right? And you can take away all the finger pointing about sounding like entitled arseholes considering where we've come from, and I accept the whole where we were and where we are, and I accept all that shit. But park all that for a minute, because it's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant for this game. There is we said it before. We've said it a few times before. I can take losing. I've got no issues with losing a game of football.
Absolutely.
As long as we've either lost because of a shit refereeing decision, or a moment of magic, or we've been completely outplayed. But at the very least, what you want when you walk home after the game, or when you turn the TV off after the game, from your team, what you want, the very least you want is to say, do you know what? They've at least give it their all. but we just weren't good enough, or the referees cost us, or you can't compete with that. But when you are leaving a game and you've been left to feel like the team that represents you as a fan base genuinely didn't give a shit in any game is awful. To do it in a game that meant so much to the fans because it was Cardiff, and you can debate the whole derby thing as much as you want. The bottom line is it's another Welsh club. There are only four professional, clubs in the AFL. And it means a lot to the Wrexham fans, And I think to have played as poorly as they did was absolutely unforgivable. Every single one of them needs to have a look at themselves in the mirror, including Parky, because I've had shit in the past for the slightest criticism towards Parky. I love the man to bits, and I will forever be grateful for what he's achieved at Wrexham. I've said it before. I do question his kind of tactical flexibility at this higher level, and at the moment, it's kind of coming to fruition. We saw it in this game. He was up against somebody who has been schooled by the likes of. I mean, he worked with Pep Guardiola, didn't he?
He did.
This is somebody that has got the ability to be dynamic with his tactics and with his players, and we don't have that, or he just won't deviate from his way, and that's it. Whatever it is, I don't know. These players that have come in, I don't accept that because they've only been here for a short period of time, they maybe didn't get the gravity of this. I don't accept that at all, because they came out and said it. Sam Smith, Dan Scarr came out in the press.
No, they made all the right noises before the game. Absolutely.
And it's a League Cup, it's a significant number of.
It's a big. It's last 16 of the League Cup. It's not as if it's a round one where you think it doesn't really matter. As I said before, Daz, we win this, we're in the quarterfinals against the Premiership side. There's a lot to play for. Ignore the fact that we're playing against one of our oldest rivals. I don't understand why they didn't have that passion to throw themselves 100% into this game. I don't get it.
I don't know. And to be honest with you, it'd be nice if somebody came out and actually said. They never will, but it'd be nice if they did.
Is it? Because to them, and again, maybe this is another thing of they're guns for hire. They're used to this kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. The fans will forget it next week. Well, you know what? I won't fucking forget it. I won't.
This is the thing. Going back to Park, I don't buy that the players wouldn't have understood the gravity of it, because they've only been there that long. They've only been there a short period of time. But Parky would have known. He would have known. He's ingrained in the Wrexham community enough to know how important this game was. And I found it very, very difficult to understand how, knowing that he would understand the importance of this game, I don't understand how we've gone through 80 minutes of that game, because with the exception of a 10-minute spell, we've gone through 80 minutes of that game just like as if we weren't asked. And I think he even said it after the game himself, something about, he made a reference to, we were too laboured getting to the ball or something along them lines. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute. Well, you fucking sort that out then. They're your players. You sort it out. Go on, Daz.
Hang on a second. Right, Daz. I'll give you now complete open floor, because let's get a bit of a level head, because Jamie and I, as you can tell, are absolutely boiling. Right?
No, I know.
We need a level head on this who isn't so close. So give us your take on how you see it.
No, but it's going to lead to a question which I think I've been leveled this similar question about, having seen my team, Liverpool, didn't put out a starting, it wasn't even the second string, it was their third string of kids into the same round we're talking about, because they clearly didn't value this tournament enough to risk first team players' injuries, because their league form is somewhat suspect at the moment. So my question for you two was going to be, how important is this cup to you when you're not entirely secure and safe in this league yet? You've had a run of results. That means you're competing, you're doing okay, but it's a precarious position to be in. So if I was to level at you guys, what would be more important, maintaining a place in this league or getting a good cup run at this stage now. I think if you were mid-table or further up, I think the conversation might be different. But do you not accept that he's entitled to go, my focus is somewhere else, because that's you guys, the same fans that you're on about who are passionate about this game against Cardiff, and I know take the opponent away, but in terms of
you
this,
can't, Daz. That's the point.
That's what I was going to say.
That's
I think
the point.
that's the one little caveat.
It's irrelevant.
What you're saying, what you're saying is absolutely spot on, and I agree with you from the point of view of he's done it in the previous rounds, and it's and when we've talked about it, we've said about I like the cup because it's an opportunity for some of these squad players to get minutes, and all that still stands until you factor in who the opponent was. That for me changes it. That has to change it, because in my opinion, and I think I'd probably put good money on the fact that I think 99.9% of Wrexham fans, if you did a survey of Wrexham fans and asked them, I would imagine pretty much everyone would have said they would have rather put the full strength team out against Cardiff and played the weaker team against Coventry.
Because let's be honest,
it means that much.
I'm asking. I think I probably agree with that. That's the mentality that you as the fan base have. I get that. I probably agree with you. But
we'll talk about Coventry. We'll talk about Coventry later. But the chances of getting anything out of Coventry on tomorrow is going to be very slim. If we're very lucky, we'll get a draw. And yet he's rested players and banked on getting a result on Friday, where the odds of you getting a result are probably. I dread to think what the bookies are against us at the moment, but I would reckon it's going to be 10 to 1.
Maybe it's an old school. Maybe it's an old school and a bit of an archaic sort of opinion as well. But I'm not 100% convinced. I'm buying into all this bullshit about having to rest players as well. We've had 2 international breaks in the last 2 months. Okay, Broadhead and Moore are involved in those, and Kabore is, but the rest of the Wrexham squad are not involved. So they've had extended periods of time either off or training. There's another international break coming up. I'm sorry, but I'm not sure I buy this bullshit. These are professional athletes, and yes, they're human beings, and your body only has a certain limit. But these are professional athletes, and as we well know now at Wrexham, they've got, we've still got a lot of infrastructure to improve, but they get the best of the best, in regards to, medical staff, cryo chambers, equipment. Look at that Lewis Brunt situation. Within 5 days of an injury, he's had the op. Now that isn't on the NHS. They've got access. They've got nutritionists. They've got chefs. They've got access to almost kind of like Premier League standard of facilities. Not facilities, because we haven't, but you know what I mean, like
support services.
Like support services and things like that. Yeah. Yes, okay, I know we're lacking the facilities of a training ground and stuff, but they're using Colliers, which is not. It's not as if it's a cabin, is it, in the middle of 9 acre like it used to be. So I'm not sure.
9 acre, that's hilarious. Sorry,
I'm not. Here's a funny story about 9 acre. Right, I used to hit golf balls off that porta cabin, and I whacked one in my mate's right into my mate's nuts once off there, trying to chip it over the top, and I hit it too hard, and it hit him right in the nuts. Anyway, it's. So I have to be honest, at this stage of the season, considering the amount of time the bulk of the squad has had off because of international breaks, I'm not sure I can accept that they can't play 2 games of football in a week, if I'm being brutally honest, or 3 games of football in a week. But that's maybe a personal opinion. But this
Daz, I've got 2 questions for you, because we need to wrap it up, otherwise we will get cancelled. Right, 2 questions. Right, 1, who's let who down? Has the players let Parky down, or has Parky let the players down by not giving the tactics they require against Cardiff? And secondly, as we've said, Parky has a lot of credit in the bank with Wrexham fans for having 3 promotions. Massive. No manager's ever done it before. Has he lost some of that credit based on the performance of Tuesday night?
Okay. So I'll answer the first one. it's impossible for me I didn't watch the whole game. I told you I was working, so I came in late and saw the end of the game, tried to catch up with some highlights and stuff. So I can't tell whether or not the players didn't act out the intended tactics or whether or not the tactics were poor, because it wasn't clear. And sometimes you can't tell. Sometimes you just see the team is set up. It doesn't go well. The other team are better set up or better prepared. I do think their energy, their fitness, their desire, because they're also a winning team at the moment, or certainly flying higher in their league, is going to give them a different viewpoint, perspective on that in the moment. So I do think that I think Parky has to take a certain amount of the responsibility, because he's made those significant changes, and whether or not they play together, he's obviously made a call that this is not as important as the league, because you would, like you said, you'd put out a stronger team if you felt you had to make it to the next round. So he's made a call. I don't think it's paid off. The backlash, clearly now, the response is not going to go well for him, and so he hasn't done himself any favors in either the eyes of the fans, or potentially within the team now, because it was not humiliating, it was disappointing. I know they're a team from a lower division, but you're talking a team that shouldn't be in that division. They should be coming back up next year, and I hope absolutely that they come up, and everybody, both yourself and Swansea, stay in this league, so that we can have a really good Welsh three-way battle.
Well,
so that's the first question.
I pray we don't play like we did on Tuesday. Otherwise, we're not staying in this league on what we've just seen. But anyway, go on.
And then the last, and I know you said you wanted to sort of move on, but yeah, the currency that he has as the manager. You guys talk about the ceiling all the time, and I do feel, as the neutral, he has probably hit his ceiling. He's done it in other clubs. This seems to be happening again. I know this is a cup game standalone against a team from a lower division, so we're not talking about league ceilings here. But I feel that he has hit that. Now, I know you counted it a few weeks ago. We're talking about he's never had the tools that he's had at his disposal until now. And yet he still feels he's not entirely in full control of where this is all heading, and utilizing them all. Like you say, if you put in Broadhead on the bench and not playing him, he's making some clear decisions that aren't really effective.
There's so many question marks at the minute, though. I mean, from a tactical point of view, you're right. He completely changed the team, but we played the same way. Now, you can't play the same way when you haven't got Kiefer Moore in the team. Sam Smith is not Kiefer Moore. He will not give you the same. He will not give you the same thing. I feel so much for Sam Smith, because he runs around like a headless chicken, but he is not a target man. He is not a target man. So if you're going to make the decision to change your team, you have to change the way you play to get the most out of him. Broadhead is a fucking mystery, if I'm being honest with you. We've bought a player there. We don't know where to play him. We don't know how to play with him in this system. And I really scratch my head wondering how the hell whoever's involved in that transfer, and this is not, there have been some criticisms to Broadhead in regards to maybe his work ethic and his work rate. But if you look at his career and if you look at how he plays, he's not playing any differently for us than he normally plays. What you do is you play to his strengths, not his weaknesses. And at the moment, because we're not playing to his strengths, his weaknesses are amplified. So, but I'm perplexed how whoever's involved in that signing, how we've gone away and our record signing, and at the moment, he doesn't fit into our team. And you scratch your head thinking, well, what was the plan? What was the thought process behind buying him? Were you going to buy him and play him as a left wing back or something? It just makes no sense.
It puts Thomason in the back line, so every player could play goodness knows where. You just don't know.
I think it's really important to say that this is absolutely, again, that whole thing of, it's not starting a Parky out witch hunt or anything like that. We're not saying anything we've not already said before.
That would just make things worse.
What this game did was it highlighted the questions that are forever there with regards to Parky's ceiling and his tactical ability. It highlighted that, but it really shone a spotlight on these players. And that to me is the biggest worry of this. Is I felt after this game, like you just said there about Mullin, Lee, Palmer, Luke Young, Jordan Davis, these players that we've had over the last few years, they all seem to get it, and there was a connection between the fan base and the playing staff. And I know it's a lot easier to have a connection when you're being successful, but they just felt there was a different feeling, and that seems to have completely gone.
Even when we go out for a loss, you'd feel it's very rare you felt that the players couldn't be asked. Very rare. You just felt we were outplayed. We were outplayed. We weren't good enough.
Take that Southampton game, the first game of the season. Not a single Wrexham fan would be critical of that. Disappointed, yes, but not critical, because we played really well. And we were ultimately outdone by 2 moments of brilliance by players that are probably too good for this level. So no criticisms, But like I say, coming back full circle, it's the worst thing to lose a game when you don't feel like your team has put the effort in. Forget ability and everything else, but when you don't feel like your team has put the effort in, and then to really, really rub salt in the wound for it to be against a fellow Welsh team really stung. And it's, like I say, I don't know how everybody else feels, but my personal view of it is it's left me feeling quite concerned, because I just feel like it made me feel like a complete disconnect between this squad of players and the fans. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for me, because even if by some miracle we get a result against Coventry, I'm not sure it fixes this. I'm not sure what the answer is for me.
No, agreed. Well, if ever I needed a big portion of sausage, chips and gravy, it's this week. So it must be time for the chip shop.
Fucking beer, I don't know about anything else.
Jamie and Daz are on hand to make sure I don't smash this chip shop up in my hanger, because right now that counter's going. Let's look, though, at the chip shop league. And these two...
Oh, yes, let's look at it.
Smiles on their face. Oh, wrong one.
I don't want to see that again. Piss off.
No, these two this week had massive smiles on their faces, as not only did Daz hit a bullseye with the Cymru Women match, but then Jamie hit a bullseye.
I forgot he got a bullseye. I thought I was the only one who got a bullseye.
Jamie also hit a bullseye, correctly predicting that Middlesbrough and would draw with Wrexham. We were all too cautious on the Aberystwyth Town Wrexham game. We were fairly way off, although both Jamie and I predicted a Poland win on the Cymru game, and the least said about the Wrexham Cardiff City game, the better. So as it stands now, Jamie has jumped back to the top of the league by 1 point. Again, it's that extra bullseye that he's got that's making the difference.
Hang on a sec. Hello down there.
Yeah, piss off. It's the extra bullseye that's doing the job. But apart from that, if you see, exactly the right number of right and wrongs, I'm the one who's already been cut adrift 5 points away from the top. I get a nasty feeling that whatever forfeit's coming, it'll now be a triple forfeit rather than a double forfeit.
Hey, at least you've got the Footy's Grand Review.
Yeah, thanks for that. Anyway, first into the fryer tonight. It's Coventry City.
Oh, my God.
So, I nearly said bonfire. It's not bonfire night, is it? So, Halloween night, Friday, 31st of October, kickoff 8 p.m. GMT at the Stoke Kairas. We welcome Coventry City. Coventry City have quite a topsy-turvy time in the Championship over the last few years. Having spent 8 years in League One, they finally broke back into the Championship in 2021. For the last 3 years, they've hovered around mid-table, although they did manage to finish in the playoffs 1 year. But this time last year, and I had to look this up, they were about 5th from bottom and facing potential relegation. So there's hope for us all, I suppose. In the summer, Coventry spent £3.5 million buying Kane Kessler-Hayden from Aston Villa, bolstering an already established Championship side, following the arrival of Frank Fatty Lampard as manager in November last year. Their start this year has been nothing but superb. 8 wins, 4 draws, no losses, a goal difference of plus 25 puts them firmly at the top of the Championship table. The last 5 results: a 4-0 win away at Millwall, a 5-0 win away at Sheffield Wednesday, a 2-0 win at home to Blackburn Rovers, a 2-1 win away at Portsmouth, and a 3-1 win at home to Watford. Last time Wrexham and Coventry met, of course, was in 2023, FA Cup Round 3. Wrexham were a National League side. Coventry were flying high at that point in the Championship. Oh, how things have changed. Well, for some of us, Not for us. Wrexham caused a massive shock on that day, of course, by winning 4-3 at Coventry's stadium. And the chips are done. So Parky's rested all these players. So we should have a tip-top side to play in this Halloween night potential horror show. I mean, Jamie, starting lineup. If I see Cody or Thomason anywhere near the back line, I am going to shit in a carrier bag and throw it, I think.
Just one other thing about the Cardiff game, which I forgot, which we have to acknowledge.
No, I don't want to talk about that anymore.
No, we have to acknowledge it.
Yes.
Yeah, right, because you called out on social media, right?
I did, yes, I did.
Look, Daz, I don't know if you saw this, but the day after...
Less than 24 hours, Daz, as well.
Less than 24 hours. The club posted a promotional marketing video on their social media channels, which was in conjunction with Ancestry, who obviously are one of the sponsors. And in isolation, it was quite a cool little video.
Very good.
But the fact that they used
let me
words...
just explain to us, he's not seen it. So Aaron James and Matty James, Ancestry were asking, are they related? Because they both got the last name of James. Well, exactly. There you go.
But what was the real own goal as far as the media department were concerned was the fact that in the text that accompanied the video, it talked about what did it say? Something about being competitive.
Yeah.
And I mean, you literally, the timing couldn't have been any worse. And look, I appreciate that stuff like that is probably scheduled to go out weeks in advance or whatever, but somebody's got to use a bit of common sense and say, hang on a minute, lads, let's just pause this one before we put it out.
Yeah, it's probably not a good time to talk about competitiveness.
Sounds a bit off.
Yeah. But anyway, that's I forgot to mention that.
A good video, great video. Great video.
It was.
I love the fact in it as well that Aaron James has obviously been told to laugh by the camera crew, saying, laugh and don't stop. So the two of them are having a Christmas scene together, him and Matty James, and he's just going, ha 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 ha. It's quite funny. It's quite funny.
They are really good at those videos, to be fair. But the only thing that was missing was they didn't have the advert in the background for the memberships, because that seems to be fucking everywhere still. But there you go. Get one of them for Christmas. Yes, right. Coventry, Jesus. Starting lineup. So yeah, you're right. You know, we're going to assume that after resting the players that he did, that we're going to have what we would deem to be our first strength 11. Obviously, with the exception of Callum Doyle, because he's still suspended. He's got one more game, hasn't he? And Brunt is out. So I think that even though we've had difficulty picking the Wrexham team so far this season, I think this is a fairly straightforward one, if I'm honest. Okonkwo, Cleworth, Scar, Hyam, Kokache, Kabore. I think he'll still play Thomason, but in the middle. I think he'll go Thomason, Dobson, Windass, Moore. That's what I think he will go with, because that seems to be his team for the last couple of weeks. O'Brien's form seems to have dropped off a cliff. I don't know what's happened to him. It's like he's become a completely different player from the first few games of the season. You know what? Whatever team he puts out, he shouldn't really have to say much to him, if I'm honest. It should just be a case of go out there and try and put right the wrongs of Tuesday night. That being
said, it's not going to be that easy, though, is it? It's not going to be that easy. Because of who we're playing.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know why you've got this hatred towards Frank Lampard. I quite like the guy, to be fair. I think he was a
fussy Frank Lampard. That's why
he was a phenomenal
Daz footballer. Loves him. I know for a fact. Daz loves him.
He was a phenomenal footballer. And I think whilst he's had some questionable managerial roles at Premier League level,
I don't care about
Premier League level.
No, questionable at Derby. He's been questionable.
Really? He's a Championship manager at best. He's a very good Championship manager, but he's not a Premiership manager. Okay. And he's not an international manager.
No, that's what I'm saying. Maybe
he'll go to Celtic. Because they were talking this week, Daz, I don't know if you heard, but Bellamy's in the running for Celtic manager.
Yeah, I heard, but I don't believe that.
No, not for 1 second.
Yeah, no. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he's Premiership. And what I'm saying is I think Championship is his level. But
I'm saying he eats too many donuts. That's what I'm saying.
Says you. But look, whatever you think of him, this season,
Sorry.
he has got that Coventry team absolutely flying.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, they have got. I mean, you could literally go through their team, and it's one of those scenarios where I think they've just clicked. You know, he's obviously got them all on side, and they've just clicked, and they're scoring goals for fun. They don't.
Does that mean this is a free pass for you guys? You're not expected to win this, so go for it.
Well, this is what make this. You see, that is a great statement, and this is what makes the Cardiff game even more fucking infuriating. Is the fact that I think, to me, the Coventry game was always a free hit because nobody expected. I don't expect us to.
No.
Well, I say I don't expect us to get anything out of it. I'm still on the fence about my prediction, but
Coventry walloped QPR 7-1, and QPR came and showed us how to play by beating us 3-1 at our ground.
Yeah.
If we get a draw out of this, it'll be a miracle.
Yeah, I free hit is a great term and one that was very much at the forefront of my mind for this game. And this is what makes the Cardiff one even more infuriating, because I think you could have done the reverse. You could have put your full strength team out against Cardiff and played the weaker team in this one if you wanted to, because of who it is.
Because the thing is, we're going to look at it in a second. But after this, we've got Portsmouth away.
Yeah.
So what? Do you rest when do you rest players for Portsmouth away, or do you play the crap team at Portsmouth away?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. This is what I was saying before. There shouldn't be that terminology of a crap team.
But look at Tuesday night. There was a crap team on Tuesday night.
I know, but ultimately, all of the players, because even the ones that came off the bench that you would say are first team, they weren't great. Yes, I say we had that 10-minute window. But they weren't great.
Much better.
You know, like I say, O'Brien just seems to have. I don't know what. It's like he's turned into a completely different player overnight. You know, Broadhead is struggling. Bless him. Windass again has been missing in recent games. These last few games, I know he scored against Middlesbrough.
I still think he's got a major injury to his ankle.
Well,
I think, and he's playing through it.
Well, quite possibly. I don't know, but you know. The biggest concern is apart from the form that Coventry are in, the fact that they are scoring goals for fun at the minute, they have got everything which we struggle with, which is pace, power, physicality, and they're fucking clinical. So those are the things that we really struggle with, and they are shit hot at the minute. So if we're not careful, you know, if we're not fucking careful, we could get fucking tonked here if we're not careful, because. You know, you can't gloss over it. We have had periods of this season where we've been great, but we've had periods this season as well where we've been fucking dog shit. And if we carry on the kind of any kind of hangover from Tuesday, and we don't pick up our performance from that, regardless of who's playing, they could. Granted, they're going to lose. You know, they're going to lose at some point. They're not going to win every game.
Well, no, but they've had four draws.
Yeah.
I mean, Daz, you know, Coventry have been, you know, a plus 25 goal difference 3 months into the season is incredible. I mean, how do Wrexham try and stop a team like Coventry?
I mean, you know, let's put it into context though. Those draws were against Oxford, Norwich. You know, there are teams there who shouldn't be getting draws against them. So I think you have to become hard to beat. You have to rely on your defense. Oh, hang on.
That's made of everybody.
There's an element of concern. Absolutely. I think you know, you don't want to be a low block because you don't, you know. I used to be a team which could soak up that pressure and then counter. I'm not entirely sure that that's the tactic against this, you know, free flowing Coventry. But you do need to become more resilient and more and tougher to get through, because they've got the finishers, they've got the quality. So I think just try and be more solid and structured
What was interesting was I was listening to another podcast that had a Coventry fan on from a Coventry pod, and he was basically saying that the way that Frank Lampard plays, or is playing this season, is very, very attacking. So they do concede chances. But he said what they have been is they've been incredibly clinical. And I think that to me is like shit, because from our point of view, we've not been clinical.
Nope.
And yet defensively, we have looked like as if, you know, at times.
Yeah.
So it's like a proper recipe for fucking real disaster.
So, time for the salt vinegar and sauce Cork. Jamie, what's your score prediction for Wrexham versus Coventry City? Head and heart, mate. Head and heart.
Yeah. Look, there is a part, I won't lie, there is a part of me that considered saying a draw. There was even a part of me at lunchtime where I was thinking, do you know what, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if Wrexham pull out a win out of the bag.
It would be a very Wrexham thing to do, and would absolutely make next week on the pod. It will just be me apologising for 2 hours.
But based on what we saw on Tuesday night and the kind of negativity that and the taste that's left in the mouth, and the fact that we're playing Coventry, I can't predict anything other than a Coventry win. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 Coventry win.
Daz, what's your score prediction for Wrexham versus Coventry City?
3-1 was one of my options. Okay. That was my probable. Let's go 2-0 Coventry. Let's do that.
And I'm predicting Wrexham 1, Coventry 4. I really think we're going to be put to the sword. I think there'll be a nasty hangover from Tuesday. I think the fans will be flat. I think then when or if Coventry get the upper hand quite quickly, I think the atmosphere will turn. And when the atmosphere at the Stoke House turns, that will affect the players, and I think they will retreat into their shells, and they will absolutely be clinging on for grim death. And you're absolutely right. Coventry are far too clinical, and I think that we will ship a number of goals. And I think this problem will only grow. I think the only thing that's going to stop it is going to be the international break, because there will be a break between. I mean, I dread when we talk about Charlton next week, because they are flying high at the moment and they're going to come for revenge, and I think they're going to get it. So I've got a very negative outlook looking up to the international break, and what we need to do is damage limitation now. But I don't think Friday's going to be it. I think Friday we're going to get tonked. So let's wrap those chips up to keep them warm. Disgusting tasting though they are. And next is the Friday tonight. It's TNS Women. So Sunday, 2nd of November, 2 p.m. GMT at the Globe in Buckley, because the Rock still isn't ready. TNS Women visit us for the return game versus Wrexham Women.
Are they rebuilding the Rock or something?
They're doing some major work to it, apparently. Major work to the pitch and the electrics.
Jesus.
Lick of paint and goodness knows what. Maybe they're mining away at the cliff face that's there. I don't know. I'm going to clue. TNS, obviously, return fixture, this one, from the 4-2 loss away in September. The only game so far Wrexham Women have lost this season. TNS currently 4th in the table with 4 wins, 3 losses, same goal difference as Wrexham. And with 11 goal difference, plus 11, and they're 12 points in the league, 4 points behind Wrexham. Last result for them was a 4-2 win away at Barry Town. And the chips are done. So, Daz, this is the anomaly for Wrexham Women, because they started off really, really well. We would expect them to go to TNS and continue that upward trajectory, and they got schooled. They didn't turn up, and TNS absolutely, correctly deserved to win the game. Are you expecting Wrexham to say, right, we're not going to get fooled again? Or do you think TNS have got something where they were starting to become Wrexham's bogey team, if you like?
No, I don't go for the bogey team thing. I think we've explained. We've shared enough that we believe that Cardiff, Wrexham, and Swansea are the 3 league leaders, and they are better than the rest. But New Saints, they invested last year. They've proven themselves to be, there or thereabouts. But they're just not getting the results against the big teams. Apart from that Wrexham result, which was, fortuitous in some ways. I mean, it was a tough game, but they were very disciplined and they took their chances that day. I think Wrexham have improved since. I think they've also. It was quite early on, wasn't it? So you hadn't done all the signings by that point as well. So I do think Wrexham have strengthened, and also there's a real the team, combinations, there's it just feels like they've gelled a lot more, these last few games, and so to get a good number of results that they have with some really good scoring, high scoring games as well. So I think there's plenty to be positive. I don't think they need to fear. I think they need to respect the New Saints. I think TNS are a capable team, but if we're going to sort of base it on the fact that home advantage this time rather than TNS's, the team are probably flying high. Yes, the Saints had a decent result against, but it was Barry. It wasn't. It wasn't the challenge that Wrexham had to face the mighty Aberystwyth and really.
And
be
there's
tested.
only one Seasiders, isn't it, Daz? There's only
absolutely, absolutely.
Only one Seasiders.
I loved when I'm seeing that. It just makes me smile. I've got a couple of those from way back when. I love the fact that these, it's still there, still going. I don't think they should fear the situation. I think they should respect and give them, absolutely assume that there'll be a challenge and there'll be some physicality and there will be a good, even match, but to a point, and then I think Wrexham should be able to pull away. Is my feeling anyway.
So time for the salt, vinegar and sauce score. Daz, what's your score prediction for Wrexham versus TNS?
I've gone for Wrexham 3, TNS 1.
Jamie, what's your score prediction for Wrexham versus TNS?
I was going to say 3-1. I got 4-1 Wrexham.
And I'm predicting Wrexham 3, TNS 2. I think this is going to be quite a close game, but I think Wrexham will have learned from their. I mean, I think it'll be high scoring because of 4-2 obviously is high scoring, and you two have gone for high scoring as well. I just think it'll be a lot closer. I think 3-2 is more like it, but I think Wrexham will learn from the mistakes of last time, and I think they will get the win. So let's wrap those chips up to keep them warm. And last into the fryer tonight, it's Portsmouth. So, bonfire night. What a great chance to go halfway across the country of a Wednesday evening on bonfire night. Wednesday, 5th of November, kick-off 8 p.m. GMT at Fratton Park, Portsmouth. Wrexham play Portsmouth on the south coast. Portsmouth happily were going along in the Premiership and then absolutely nosedived over 5 years from 2010 to 2015 down to League Two. Slowly made their way back up to the Championship in 2023. Last season, they finished 16th place, 14 wins, 12 draws, 20 losses, a goal difference of -13 and 54 points, 6 points off the relegation. This summer, they spent £3 million on Mark Kosnowski from MTK Budapest and Josh Knight from Hanover 96. And this season so far, Portsmouth have struggled a little bit, sitting 18th in the league, 3 wins, 4 draws, 5 losses, a goal difference of -3, 13 points, 4 points off the relegation zone. The last 5 results: a 2-2 draw at home to Watford, a 1-0 win at home to Middlesbrough, a 1-1 draw away at Leicester, a 2-1 loss at home to Coventry City, and a 1-0 loss at home to Stoke City. Wrexham and Portsmouth have met 9 times before, with Wrexham winning 4 and losing 5. The last meeting was all the way back in 1986 in, ironically, the League Cup at Fratton Park, second leg. In fact, they used to, because it was, even though it was a round 2, they used to play 2 legs then in what was then, Daz? What was the League Cup called in 1986? Can you remember?
86 would have gone. Was it still the Milk Cup?
No, God, it just changed the Milk Cup.
Rumbelows.
No. It would have been
5, 4, 3.
Worthington was later. No, go on.
Yeah, no, Littlewoods Cup.
Littlewoods.
That's it. Yeah, catalogue company.
Good shout on Rumbelows. I love.
Well done. No, yeah, no, very good. No, very good. I think Rumbelows was after, I think, Littlewoods, from what I remember. But I think the Milk Cup.
Wasn't Rumbelows like an electronics shop?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a telly shop.
Like Curry's, wasn't it? Like an old school Curry's.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes, so it was in the second leg of the second leg. We were already 2-1 down, and we lost 2-0 to lose 4-1 in aggregate. So I think that adds up the league perfectly. The chips are done. So, Jamie. So going away, long midweek trip. I'm not going. Not on bonfire night. I like my legs the way they are. Thanks.
First and foremost, right? Somebody's got to fucking have a look in the mirror with regards to the logistics of this. I appreciate that fixtures are drawn randomly, and obviously TV get involved and everything else. But talk about shitting on the fans. I mean, fucking, how far is it from Wrexham?
It's a long way.
On a Wednesday night.
Must be a good 10-hour round trip, I reckon. I reckon it's at least 5 hours there, 5 hours back.
And I think as well, it's one of those grounds that, like you were talking about Hillsbury before, that's kind of on your to-do list and places you want to go. There'd be a lot of Wrexham fans that would want to go to that. But, what a stupid game to have on a Wednesday night.
I know. Well, what can you say?
Sorry.
Wrexham obviously will have played Coventry. Again, I know you're going to say it's difficult to predict second game after a blah, blah, blah. Let's imagine the worst. We're going to lose on Friday to league leaders. Is this a chance for Wrexham to go, because Portsmouth have been a little bit wobbly, and obviously they are below us in the league, only just, but they are below us in the league. Is this a chance for Wrexham to go and have their away form work in their advantage for once and get a positive result, or do you think Portsmouth are going to have that little bit too much for Wrexham?
It is hard to say. I mean, I've not seen Portsmouth play this season, to be honest with you. And what I was quite interested in when I looked at their form and I looked at their fixtures, because obviously, like you say, they're below us in the league. Whilst generally they've had poor results, they have had some good results in this season as well. They beat Preston at home. They beat Middlesbrough at home a couple of games ago. Yet they've lost at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Drew with Watford. So they seem a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, from what I understand, I think Fratton Park is quite a hostile atmosphere. I don't ever sort of really recall.
It will be when they're wanging fireworks at you as well at the same time. I'm sure it'll make it even more hostile.
Yeah, but do you know what? It's one of them. If you try and put to one side, like you say, potentially what's going to happen. I mean, the already dark cloud that's over things after Tuesday's performance. We've no idea yet what's going to happen on Friday. If we, like you say, if we lose that game and if we lose it comprehensively, this is going to be a really big game, isn't it, for us? But if you try and isolate it just as an away game, you have to look at it and say, well, can we tap into ultimately what has been our better form this year, which is our away form against a team that's we're down there towards the bottom end of the table with. Like you said, I know I say it every time. We all say it every time. It is so difficult trying to give any kind of a steer on what you think's going to happen in a game.
All I can hear is excuses.
Daz, sorry.
It's funny.
Says the man at the bottom of the league.
Shut up. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because when I was doing research into Portsmouth, I automatically think of Portsmouth as a big Premier League side. But they've not been anywhere near the Premier League since 2010. They've not been there in 15 years. Why do they still hold this kind of, they are a top league side, do you think?
Well, I mean they had a good run of it in the Premier League. They were top flight. They've done well in the cup and things like that. And so they've had some big name managers and obviously the rich ownership that took over and really changed things there. But for many years growing up, I didn't consider Portsmouth. I felt that they were a team that were perhaps misplaced.
I mean, compared to Southampton, compared to their neighbour Southampton, that's. Southampton were always the big side for me, and Portsmouth are always.
Yeah. And you just think, thinking now Bournemouth now and stuff like that. They're just teams that I never imagined or don't associate with being top flight for quite a long time. But they managed to stay there for longer than I thought they would. They're now probably where I think they are. They are a championship side to me. But they've had an okay start, but they're not really great shakes this year. So you've got potential to have a decent match, but it's that away form home form thing that's the tricky thing. So whether or not that's going to help you to stop the rut of these sort of unfortunate results that you've had.
So, time for the salt vinegar and sauce cork. I'll go first on this one. I think it's going to be Portsmouth 1, Wrexham 1. I think they're going to draw because Portsmouth have had a couple of draws recently at home. I think Wrexham are very good at draws, but I don't think they have enough often to have the win. I can't. It's difficult because Portsmouth can turn it on when they want to. A lot will depend on the Coventry result because, as Jamie rightly said, if we get tumped, the heads will be down and then it will be a real fight to get anything out of this. But I'm going to predict 1-1. Jamie, what's your score prediction for Portsmouth versus Wrexham?
You can tell how demoralised I am after the Cardiff game because I'm not going with any stupid, far-out predictions this week. Although I did think about it. I'm going to go for a draw as well. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
That's what's your score prediction for Portsmouth versus Wrexham.
Guys, this is just... I mean, I had 1-1 down originally, but I'm beginning to feel like, why don't I commit? Why don't I commit? And just...
Should be committed. Sure.
Yeah. Get off that fence.
Because there's two of you on it already, and so
And I'm about to burn it down in anger, so yeah.
Okay. I may regret this, but okay. I'm doing this for the league, but you're not going to like the outcome. I'm going to go for a Portsmouth 1-0 win.
1-0, marvellous.
A 1-0.
So let's wrap...
me. You know me and my 1-0.
Absolutely, hey, got your success, mate. So let's wrap those chips up to keep them warm. And we'll be looking back at all three of these games in next week's pod. So let's try and end on a positive, shall we? Next week, we'll look back at the two games versus Coventry and Portsmouth and Wrexham Women versus TNS. And we reopen the circus for the visit of Nathan Jones and Charlton Athletic back to the Stoke Kairos. And it's the Adran Trophy last 16 big game week after next. The Mia Roberts derby as Wrexham Women take on Llandudno Women in what is sure to be an absolute bloodbath. Please let us know on the usual channels, social media, comments on Spotify, whatever you want to do. I'm sure you will have all that things to say with regards to what we've talked about this week, because I know that many of you are as passionate as we are. Maybe not as aggressive as I am, for sure, but that's a good thing. Obviously, if you want to send us an email, emochipspodcast, all one word, @gmail.com, please feel free to do so. Of course, we can't end this week without mentioning it's a very special week for one of the three of us here. Who can that be? Of course, it's Mr. Daryl James's birthday on Friday. Pembroke, happy stars! What's it like to be 60?
I don't know. Are you going to tell me soon?
Hey, I like it.
Yeah,
These clothes feel all drawn in.
It's a significant. It's not one of the significant ones. Sorry, but each one. Each one's a victory.
As they get more, they all get significant because you can't remember the last one. Are doing anything special for your BD?
Trying to take some time off work, which I don't do very often, and
Nice.
then maybe a small family gathering type thing.
Any presents you know about that you're not supposed to know about, or
No, I've asked for, but I know it's too expensive, so I don't think I'm getting it.
What is it? One of those realistic blow-up dolls that does everything from all the orifices, or?
If that's what you want it to be, then yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's socks and ties then, obviously.
Ties? I don't think anyone's ever bought me a tie.
Never. Well, Pembroke Harpist, mate, from me and Slim and everybody else who's watching, have a great one. Yeah. Hopefully you'll see us beating Coventry. That would be the best present of all, right? Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, but of course, thank you, Daz, and Pembroke Harpist to you for today.
Thank you.
Level-headed as always. It's great that you were there as a balance. Jamie, it's been actually quite therapeutic for me, to be perfectly honest. I've let out of a lot of anger tonight. Still not enough, and I know you have as well. So thank you. For that.
A little bit. I think I am going to go on Kurt Zoom with a cap though, just to really get it out of my system.
I'll see you tomorrow at the Coventry game, which will be nice. Jokes. We do not harm animals unless it's for fun.
No. I would show him to you just to prove he's alive, but he's actually disappeared from in here. So
disappeared.
I can't.
Into the meat grinder. So thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, pleasure.
I've been Welsh Techie. My blood pressure is through the roof, so I better go and take some tablets. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next week. And come on, Cymru, and please, come on the town.
score.
Clinton, 4-0. Thomas, after like a goal. That's number 5.
He's it through to Bellamy. Craig Bellamy. It's 2-1 Wales. Craig Bellamy. Tony Hughes for Wrexham into the lead.
And that's it! Wrexham are champions! Wrexham are champions! Wrexham are the FA Trophy winners 2013!
Alex Cross, great ball! Equaliser! Elliot Lee!
Back to back to back promotions. Oh, can you believe it?
The Eat More Chips Podcast.